Fill up.
I drink your milkshake.
You are listening to the Billionaire Podcast Network.
Moving my bones, no place to rest. Traveled up north just to find my head. I'm still cornfed. Cornfed. Moving my bones, no place to rest. Traveled up north just to find my head. I'm still cornfed.
And go. Welcome to another episode of Corn Fed, everybody. This is Corn Fed with Dalton Pruitt, only on the Billionaire Podcast Network. Ka-ching, bing, 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 did you fill her up? I gotta do my own station tags till we get money. My two normal regular co-hosts are out this week. Kevin is still recovering from his car crash, and Sal, who was in the initial car crash with Kevin and came out unscathed. He was actually in another car crash. And so now he's laid up in traction, but I got filling in, running backup for me, second string podcaster. No, you're not second string. You're not second string, Drew. You're on the network now.
Yeah,
Drew Flores.
what's going on, everybody?
Yes, from Dork Court.
Dork Court and Freddie's open mic on Mondays.
And we have a very special guest this week. I'm excited. We're joined, looks like live from a Spencer's Gifts. We have Mint Salad. Mint, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing today?
Doing well. It's a Sunday, happy Sunday, as Nancy Pelosi said a few years ago. I think it was when she had a old lady dementia moment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, remember that? She was like, Sunday, happy Sunday.
I don't remember anything. My
Do
memory
what?
is a goldfish. My memory is as long as a goldfish. I only remember 3 seconds ago, and then that's it.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting that way too, to be honest.
Yeah, my memory's not like particularly good these days, but I remember like key moments that I have like tattooed on me. So I have
Pretty
Sunday happy Sunday tattooed on me. I have all the favorites. Grab her by the pussy. What else, Drew?
Isn't Nancy Pelosi one of the? Isn't she supposed to be like a low key alcoholic?
I
Is
know
she one of the ones?
I think she's probably on like Klonopin or some sort of like pills or
Yeah,
something.
true.
Who knows? She's old. But we're not here to talk about politics. We're here to talk to Mint here. Mint, you captured the internet's imagination a few months ago with your you had a little Star Wars video go viral.
Yeah.
For two reasons.
Just a couple.
Just a couple of reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think I might have grabbed your attention because I had like also started making content similar, but reacting to things of that nature, and so I did one for you, and I think you seem to have been flattered by it, by the rack reaction. The now it's Twitter titty twisters. And so we've been following each other ever since. Was
That's
that
accurate.
yes. Was that your first time going viral? How'd that feel?
Yeah. Well, it was unexpected. I was just like, oh wow, this is really blowing up. Oh wow, it's really blowing up. Oh wow. Wow, I can't believe it. What how? Why? Oh, it must be because I'm probably saying the opinion that everyone's thinking, but like I've had this opinion of just stop watching Disney Star Wars because they're making it bad intentionally, so YouTubers have to go to the theaters and talk about it, and then it's a whole ecosystem. And I'm just like, man, I don't want to reward bad art. I just want good art. And Disney Star Wars, not good art.
Right.
True.
That might have been one of the reasons it went viral.
Yeah, that was definitely one of them. And then the shirt that the dress I was wearing at the time, I had just done a movie review. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm upset. I'm so upset by the Disney Star Wars. And then I was just put my phone on a whiteboard. I was leaning up against the wall, and then I just screamed at it. It literally took it. It was just me screaming for like 3 minutes or whatever. Just boom. All of my thoughts just go out. They're out. And then add a little bit of editing. It's surprising how far editing can go to make something good. I think it was a lot of factors. It was definitely a flash, lightning in a bottle moment, though. Not intentional, but
Yeah.
I'm grateful it happened.
It's difficult to achieve longevity as a content creator for sure. But I think you're definitely cornering that market of you got the nerdy girl thing. Your handle is at autistic boobs.
Yeah.
So you're
It's a
yeah.
good handle.
Yes.
It wasn't taken. It was not taken when I grabbed it. I was like, how is this not being used at the moment?
Yeah.
It's yoink. It's for me now.
Yeah. But that's big. I'm surprised that I think it took women a long time to realize that if they just enjoyed publicly the same things that like all the the guys who used to be condemned for enjoying those things enjoy,
Oh yeah.
then that's printing money.
Yeah, weeb girls are cleaning up right now.
Yeah, like all the cosplay girls and like Twitch streamer girls, all that. That's because a guy like me, I remember the first time I ever met a woman who like read comic books. I was like, I didn't even know that was possible. I didn't know because how
Like,
you don't have to answer this, but like how old are you?
23.
You're 20. Okay, so yeah, you're like a bit younger than I am. I think
Yeah.
Drew and I can remember the times when there like people like you, women like you really didn't exist.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like girls didn't play video games until The Sims came out, and girls didn't. I don't know when they got into like anime and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been like with the internet, with like the proliferation of these different avenues for content, women finally figured out, oh, guys actually they'll pay attention to this, they'll pay me money if they can see me enjoying this stuff. And that's not to say that man, I've watched your stuff. First off, you certainly do. Your handle is autistic boobs, and you have boobs, but you also do seem autistic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I believe that you are genuinely interested in these things. You're
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Also the motivation for doing movie reviews, specifically, is that I spent my entire childhood just drawing and not watching any movies, and then here I am on a movie review set, a movie review sets to review the first Power Rangers with very famous YouTuber Tony from Hack the Movies. I hadn't even watched the movie, and I just went on and reviewed it, and obviously I did poorly. So I was like, I got to keep on reviewing movies so I can get better at reviewing movies. And so basically what I'm doing now is just watching all the movies that seems that everybody in the world has already seen. So
You've shifted
I'm
your
good.
autism into
What'd you say?
movies. You've
Yeah.
shifted your autism into movies.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
more specifically interested in like this art of storytelling, the art of like shot composition, the art of like colors within a movie to illustrate the mood of that scene, a particular scene. If I want to feel a certain way, then the colors will reflect that on top of the music as well, like the soundtrack of a movie. I'm very focused on the craftsmanship of just the entire movie because it just requires so many different type of skills to even make a good movie. If you have one thing off, then it's just completely it feels like a wasted movie, like a wasted idea. That's
Sure.
my experience.
Yeah.
Uh
Well, a movie, especially like a studio movie. I mean, about 1,000 different people working on one of them. It's a lot of moving. It's a whole, machine.
yeah.
Um, and
You have to
so,
have you have to have a lot of people to care about the movie. To like if you have one person who does not care about their job as much as the director does or anyone else involved in making the movie's just gonna be worse.
Yeah.
right.
Like how Alec Baldwin shot that woman.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, if the armorer does not care about her job, then Alec
Yeah.
Baldwin kills a lady.
She
Yeah.
tanked
Yeah.
that whole movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun.
Which movie was this for?
There's a movie yet to be released. I guess it's like a western or something that Alec Baldwin was working on called Rust. And
Mm.
when did this happen? Like two years
It
ago
was two
now.
years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's still like an ongoing thing, but he had a gun. There was like a gun on set, and it was a real gun. And the armorer on set, a movie armorer is supposed to like they're the weapons expert,
Right.
and yeah, they're supposed to be like the John Wick behind the scenes who understands all of this and makes sure that everything's they're running a tight ship. And so she hands him a gun, and he, for whatever the scene was, he pulls the trigger and it's like killing the cinematographer or like some like assistant director or something.
Uh
Yeah, and so it's like the last couple of years he's kind of been out of the spotlight, and it's been this ongoing like case. And I think they just said that he's like going to go to trial for some sort of manslaughter thing.
hmm.
But
Oh wow.
the way it's being like presented online is that like he murdered this woman, like he's the bad guy. And I guess he certainly could have done more in the public eye as in terms of like showing remorse and
Yeah.
being like
Yeah.
an actual human and not just being like actually Jack Donaghy,
I
which
think like
seems
it was like 3 days after he killed her. He took like the her like widower and her son to Denny's. He like
Oh.
took them out to like a Denny's three
that's a
days
good hey, that's a
later.
good meal. I mean,
Hey, it is a good meal.
It depends
Shout
what you
out
get at Denny's.
shout out Lord of the Rings Denny's menu.
yeah, shout out to
Um
the Lord of the Rings Denny's menu. Oh, that's what we were going to talk about. Because before this, and man, I think this is right up your alley. You'll like this. That we Drew had said that I'm like the Tom Bombadil of the internet, and you don't
I
know.
don't know what that means.
Yeah, you don't know who Tom Bombadil is. Have you seen the Lord of the Rings movies?
I've only seen the first one, the
Okay,
extended
so
oh
cut specifically.
you know what you need to know then. So in the book, the Fellowship of the Ring, the actual book, this was cut from the movie. This was not included in the movie.
Mm.
There's a character early on in the adventure that they run into that Frodo and the Fellowship encounter named Tom Bombadil, who's like this hermit who lives in this like little cottage out in the woods, and he's got like a fair maiden with him, and he's just this very enigmatic figure in the book. There's like you could look up like 1,000 different Reddit threads discussing like what Tom Bombadil is, maybe
Mm.
because he's seemingly more powerful than anyone in the story, even Sauron. Like he puts the ring on at one point, it just has like no effect on him. And so I get like the question, on all the chat rooms, all the forums is like why like why couldn't he have just done this? Like out of anyone that could have taken that ring to the mountain, why not entrust it to the guy who's ostensibly more powerful than Sauron himself?
Oh,
But it's
that is a
it
good question.
yeah, and I'm sure there's a reason for it. Like he in the book, he just is like not interested in doing it. He's just like, nah, I'm just chilling in my little cottage. But Gandalf never makes any effort to like sway him. Gandalf's like, all right, well, I guess we're gonna send this, you know,
This small man.
yeah, this small man with no like athletic abilities or strength or
Very
any,
eager. It must
yeah,
be the eagerness.
yeah. Well, you know, Frodo was qualified because he was, you know, noble and pure of heart, and though he may be tempted by the ring, uh, you know, he had no inherently no interest in attaining power or anything like that. He was just a fellow trying to, you know, live a quiet life in Bag End,
Hmm.
you
That makes
know.
Oh,
sense.
damn, dude.
Yeah.
Bagging rocks so fucking much,
I'd love
dude.
to live in the Shire. That's my dream, dude. Live in
Yeah, man,
a
that's
hole in the
oh
ground.
god damn it, bro. Having like a beautiful hobbit wife, no shoes
Imagine
ever.
just drinking all of the beer that they make. It's just
Oh,
Oh, dude.
drunk constantly.
beer and mead and whatever other like World of Warcraft drinks they're drinking.
Yeah, dude. Every once in a while, Gandalf comes to town, shoots off some fireworks and shit.
Just
Mm-hmm.
chug some
It's a
beer,
good life. It's a good
Yeah.
life.
partying.
Do you think Gandalf, because of the fireworks makes me think, do you think Gandalf might have actually been Chinese?
Yeah, dude. That's the hat. That was
Because
the rice hat.
he was the only one that had access to fireworks.
Yeah.
That's where they go at the end of
Uh,
the story when they get on the boat going into the ocean. It's like they're gonna go find China.
yeah,
Oh.
they're
Yep.
going to Taiwan.
Yeah. But anyway, so Mint, what
Yeah.
is your what is your history with nerddom? Because you know I'm a fat guy who smells, so I have quite the relationship with all this kind of stuff. But
Which series? Like,
well, I mean, you blew up because of Star Wars. So
yeah.
when and what did Star Wars start for you?
Okay, so it was when The Force Awakens was coming out, and I was like, oh, I haven't seen any of the Star Wars movies. I gotta look up a search order. I gotta search up a watch order for Star Wars, and the order that the internet gave me was to watch it in the order of 4, 5, 2, 3, 6, and then watch one sometime just later. That was literally the instructions. So I did that. So I just ended up just binge watching those Star Wars, and then I watched Seven. I was like, oh, that's pretty neat. I like this movie. And then Seven got played 3 times by 3 different people. Three different teachers played the Star Wars Seven in the classes I was going at since I was like it was like freshman year for me in high school. So I just remember them just playing it. I was like, man, I just know Seven so well now. Wow, who knew? And then I watched one and I was like, man, this sucks. The Phantom Menace sucks.
Dude,
It's just so boring. It feels like they're just trying to rip off Star Trek because let's talk about the politics of politics of the Star Wars. I'm like, but the original Star Wars don't have that aspect. I mean, 1, 4, and 5, sure, it has to deal with a political figure, Darth Vader and Palpatine, but at the center of it, it's a family story. It's a guy who's like going off into a space adventure, and then 5 is Luke trying to figure out part of him, trying to figure out like what the like he's just trying to figure himself out, and then that's when the Darth Vader reveals that he's Luke's father, and it's like, oh, this isn't a family drama the entire time. And I didn't know until the end of the 5th movie, and then the 6th movie is just to sell toys. That's my theory. The first movie is to sell toys. Two is not very memorable, but I do like third a lot. Um, and 7 is just the 4th movie, pretty much.
sure.
Would
Yes.
you agree with those analysis?
Um. Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. I don't have like a deep connection to Star Wars. When I was a boy, it was definitely still a big deal. And it wasn't as like ubiquitous as it is now because it was still like Lucasfilm, and it had been gone for years. So like anything that existed that was Star Wars was like what had already come out, and then like all the books and stuff, and maybe like a
Right.
video, some video games here and there. So I remember like 1999, the Phantom Menace is coming out, and it's like this big deal that this is coming back. And my parents took me to see it, and I think I fell asleep like half hour into it. I was so bored by it.
What?
The only good
Yeah.
part of the Phantom Menace, in my opinion, has to be the pod racing.
Yes, the pod.
That's the
This
best
pod
part for you.
race, that and the Jewish alien.
Yeah.
At the very beginning,
The Jewish alien who's like,
What was
"Ugh."
his name? Watto or
Yeah, well,
Greedo? Or,
yeah, that's cool.
uh, dude, I
But
love Phantom Menace. I thought,
I've gone back and
like, I think,
watched it as an adult, and I can appreciate it now for what he was like trying to do with it, where he's like really trying to open that world up and explore more of like what the like intricacies of that universe are. Because man, you're right. The first original movies are not necessarily even like sci-fi movies or get into any sort of speculative fiction.
yeah,
They're fantasy movies, so
hmm
it's like Lord of the Rings in
space
space. It's
operas.
sword and
yeah,
sorcery. um and then like with the prequels you get into the more of the like you said, Star Trek as we
Yeah,
say down south, Star Trek.
Star
uh
Trek.
yeah, Star Trek. And so I've gone back and watched those as an adult, and I do like them. But the third Revenge of the Sith is the best one because it's the closest to the originals. It's the one where it's like, all right, now we're gonna go all out and do
Yeah.
lightsaber fights again and all this crazy stuff.
What I like
um
about the third one is that all the threads that were being made or being built in the first two movies, they all converge at the third movie. And then it's like, oh wow, everything is falling apart. And then we have that epic lava planet battle with Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker.
yeah,
You know, doing lightsaber duels, but you know what I found really funny during that scene? So Obi-Wan's famous line, "It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground." But in the first movie, Obi-Wan was had the low ground and was able to defeat Darth Maul. So the high ground doesn't mean anything. I
yeah.
don't
right.
like
He's
that.
a hypocrite.
The Darth Maul fight always bothered me because Darth Maul has him. Like it's like one of those movie moments where it's like, just kill him. Why are you
Yeah.
waiting?
Yeah,
Just go do what you're gonna do. And he gives him like more than enough time to like regain his strength and do like a force leap off of that whatever that thing he's hanging on to, and then cut him in half. And it's like it's like a Bond villain moment where it's like, why are you taking your time with this? It's like a
yeah,
plot. What do they call it? Plot armor, where like this character can't die, so
Yeah.
they have to write the movie in a way where the villain is just kind of an idiot. Um,
yeah.
but
I
you
wish
know,
I wish villains were written. I wish the villains are written not idiotically. Like I prefer when there's a movie and we just like got the villains there and it's so tense because you don't know whether the main character is going to die or not. Even though you could know that the main character is going to live, but because of how the scene is laid out, it's everything's so tense and they're so close to uh getting the protagonist, then the antagonist, the villain guy, is like has got him in a chokehold. Got the protagonist in the chokehold. I really like that because then it's like, oh man, how will this guy get out of this situation? Versus, yeah, like you mentioned in the first movie, the Phantom Menace. He just stands there. He's like, yeah, get wrecked. I bet you can't get up from here. And it's like, but bro, the Force exists. Like, don't you know that you're a Force user too? Like, what?
yeah,
Maul got too cocky.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
um, I think my audience is gonna appreciate this, but man, have you gotten into Dune yet?
No, I haven't.
Oh, well, then this is what you're talking about, because Dune, I think, is where Lucas probably got a lot of his ideas from in the way he built the world
Mm,
of Star Wars. And so the main villain in Dune is Baron Harkonnen, who I guess would be like the Palpatine figure in Dune. Um,
okay.
but he is much more like conniving and manipulative, and he just is this figure who kind of lurks behind the scenes. Like he like turns the screws and manipulates all the events. But
That's cool.
but he's like presented as this sort of very corrupt, almost like feudal warlord who knows not to like go out and he's almost like Putin. Like those stories you hear about Putin where Putin just like never really leaves the Kremlin and he doesn't have a computer or talk to anybody. He just has all of his thoughts and then he whispers them into somebody's ear and then that person goes and like whispers it into someone else's ear. And so all of
Oh,
like yeah,
it's
like
like a
all
game of telephone.
yeah, so it's like he's Baron Harkonnen is this very like just this master of capitalism and feudalism and take running things
Right.
and directing the
He's
course
like
of
a
events.
he's like a CIA director.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's like a just a like this villainous shadow and so like any all the big fights in the movie are like done but carried out by his like nephews. He doesn't have any kids himself because I think he's gay, or
Oh.
that's alluded to in the book. The David Lynch movie, he has space aids. He's
Oh.
the David Lynch movie, he like is has some disease that's like killing him. And he has to have this doctor like give him regular injections and stuff. It's crazy. What that movie's awesome. It is a surrealist like fever dream. But you would probably like do you like all the like stuff that you're complaining about with the prequels. I think Lucas was trying to do what Dune did with those movies because Dune
Yeah.
gets into the like real nitty gritty like finer details of space feudalism and political machinations.
Okay.
Yeah,
All I remember is midichlorians introduced in the
midichlorians.
prequels, and it's like it seems a little bit complicated.
Yeah,
You didn't really have to explain that to me. I would have been okay with just having it the mystery of some people are just gifted with uh some people are just gifted with the ability to use the force. Because even if they didn't explain midichlorians, then that would also make sense why Rey could use a lightsaber. Is in the sequels is like some people are just naturally gifted. I mean, I guess midichlorians is a way to like quantify the amount of force ability that you have, but there should have been a better way to explain it, in my opinion, than to just have Qui-Gon Jinn just sit Anakin down and be like, okay, you want to have the talk about midichlorians? Okay, so when a boy and a girl love each other very much, they introduce midichlorians or something.
yeah.
I don't know. That's just what that talk felt like. It just felt like a big old lecture, and then it was fun to easy to meme actually because it was just so lectury.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
But
you
what was it
see,
again? Was it like parasites?
no, it was a genetic thing. So, like, some people were born with like a certain midichlorian count in their body, uh,
Yeah.
and so that was what gave them like some sort of connection to the Force, like stronger than like other people that would indicate that then maybe they could be a Jedi. Um, so it was like an unnecessary explanation because I guess like it does work better the way it originally was, where it's like almost like Harry Potter rules, where it's like, yeah, some people are magic, some people aren't. You
yeah.
know, because like the way Dune explains that kind of thing, is eugenics.
Mm.
So the human race has been actually working toward creating the perfect person, the most
Oh,
powerful
it's like
being.
Gattaca.
Yeah, yeah, it's like Attica. Um, and that's what Paul Atreides is the Kwisatz Haderach, the Muad'Dib.
Hmm.
But I'm not going to spoil it for you. You just have to you'd probably like the David Lynch movie and the new movies. The Denis, what's that guy's name? The guy who did Blade Runner 2049, Denis Villeneuve. Those are like closer to the book. Those are good too. Or there's only one so far.
Wasn't there like a TV series too, like a short run, like a
There
mini
was
series?
the guy, the James McAvoy, the guy who does Professor Xavier now.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
did like a Children of Dune mini. I've never seen it, but yes, there was actually.
oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah, I think I
I
read that
remember
that's supposed to be pretty good.
I remember seeing the poster for that and just being like, "Oh, it's Dunk," because of the way the typography is.
Right.
The E looks like a C.
That's
I
true. Dunk.
yeah, Dunk.
Yeah. In donuts, a ruse. Which dunk are we talking? Dunkaroos are
The
back.
donuts one. The
Yeah.
donuts.
Yeah.
Dunk donuts.
Are you a Boston gal?
No, I've never been to Boston actually.
Oh.
I lived in Washington State for 19 years. I've traveled around the country a lot, and I'm in Kentucky right now. That's
Whoa,
where I'm
nice.
at. Yeah.
I was wondering where you were because I've watched your videos. I'm like, well, she's not in any like city.
Yeah, I'm in a
Like,
really small town.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Small town life rocks.
yeah, it's nice.
It
It's not.
it
It's
is
nice when
nice.
the only place to go is a Dollar General. I love that.
Yeah.
You
My
know?
favorite thing is that everything closes at 10 and Walmart closes at 11 and then nothing is open until 6 a.m.
Man, you
And
don't
so
even
it's pretty
know.
much dead. The streets are dead. Nightlife is pretty much nothing except for on the weekends. Then it's from like the hours of 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. is pretty consistently dead every night.
Yeah,
It's pretty great.
man, you don't even realize because you're younger than us. You don't even remember. You may not even remember the time, the years. The we didn't even know what we had with 24-hour WalMarts.
Oh man,
Oh
I never
damn.
got to experience a 24-hour Walmart. It was only because
Yeah.
when I was in Washington State, I lived in an area where the Walmart shut was open from 6 to 11 p.m. and I was like, okay, this is normal. But then if I wanted to go to a Walmart with a grocery section, which the Walmart that I just mentioned did not have one, I'd have to like travel 20 minutes. But that Walmart was 24/7. And I remember like when I was traveling, like right before COVID hit, it was like 24/7 places. Like Winco was open 24/7. Walmart was open 24/7. If you don't know what Winco is, it's pretty
I know
much
about Winco.
you know about Winco?
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
that's good. Winco's great.
Winco rocks.
Yeah, I wish there was a Winco here, but there isn't.
I'll fuck up the candy section at Winco.
Yeah, I love Winco so much. But that was like just 24/7. Soon as COVID hit, bam, no more 24/7 anything.
Hmm.
Denny's were 24/7. Of only a select few of Denny's are now 24/7, and Google Maps doesn't update any of their anything that they have. Like, oh yeah, this Denny's coming up is 24/7, and like I'm driving, it's like 3 a.m. Okay, let's go to the Denny's, and then I pull up to the Denny's. Denny's is closed. And it's like, no, I do not update it. This has been 3, 4 years now at this point. Come on, man, you know better. Just
And
update.
Denny's aren't
I
24
think
hours anymore.
I think
They
diners are back to 24/7.
Well, that's good. For like 2 or 3 years, a lot of Denny's were not back to 24/7. It was just an excuse to cut hours because it would always be
Yeah.
Right.
too expensive
But I don't
to
think,
run
yeah,
nights at night.
Walmart is not anymore from what from a
Yeah,
lot of places. But when I was a boy, and I think Drew knows this, you could go to a Walmart at like 4 in the morning, and that was when it was that was a magical time
Yeah.
because it had this like because that was they still have to do their like store duties. So like all the stuff that a store would do when it's closed, they have to do while they're open. So everybody's like
right.
stocking. They got like pallets of shit just laid out everywhere. And you can't even get to what you're trying to get to because there's just boxes and boxes filling up the aisles. And it
They
had
do that on Sundays here. Like they're like even when the stores open from let's say like 10 a.m. to until closed, just pallets everywhere. Pallets everywhere. They're just doing that when it's open. not even bothering until the customer when the customers leave, and then doing that. You
Right.
just mentioned pallets, and that reminded me of that. What were you saying?
Oh no, yeah. I guess because Walmart just has so much stuff that I guess they do that at different hours anyway, probably like during the day and then at night. But like at 4 in the morning, it was just like this like desolate, lawless place where all the workers were, they didn't give a shit that you were there because it's 4 in the morning. So like everybody knows what's
Yeah,
up. This is an act of desperation for all of us. And it had
yeah,
this like what they call it on the internet, like it was like a liminal space. Like the back rooms or the
Oh
castle in
yeah.
Super Mario 64, where it almost felt like I'm not supposed to be here right now. I've
It's
entered into
uncanny.
yeah, I've entered into a place at a time when the demons, the shadows of have awakened. It
yeah.
was a fun time going to Walmart at 4 in the morning.
There's been a couple of times where I've gone to like Winco 4 in the morning and no one is there, and so I'm like, "Is this place open? I mean, there's nobody here. Am I supposed to be here?" But like the door is wide open. So I've had that a similar experience.
Yeah, I've had that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've had that at Winco for sure because it's like, yeah, it is 24 hours, but at a certain like, yeah, that late, it's such a big store. It's such like an expansive store that you could walk in and just not see anybody for the
yeah.
first like several minutes you're there, and you're like, am I committing a crime right now by being here? And I commit a crime every time I go to Winco, technically, because I'm stealing from the bulk containers for sure.
Mm,
Yeah, I'm getting handfuls of jelly beans and chocolates and licorice whips.
okay, that's how
Uh,
you do it.
You wear your cargo shorts.
yeah, I got my cargo shorts on. I got my all my like triple X Hot Topic like Slipknot shirt that I'm wearing. Yeah, yeah. Winco's
That's fun.
nice.
I've never done that before,
You
but
never still you never stolen from the bulk containers?
I didn't see those when at the wall Winco I was at.
Really? Because the Winco
Yeah.
where I was in Texas, the candy section has all these like big bulk containers. So it's like either scoops or levers you pull to dispense jelly beans or
Mm.
whatever. And so I would
Oh,
just
I
like,
know what those are, but they weren't at the Winco I was at.
oh
So
really? Yeah, because I used to go and just like, I mean, I would buy stuff for sure. I'd fill up bags, but while
yeah.
I'm there, I'm getting some samples for sure.
Of course, you got to test out the product.
Yeah, it's like I've
Yeah.
never, I've never seen an entire tower of just tutti frutti jelly beans. I got to figure out what 20 of these feel like all at once.
It's an important scientific experiment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you have wait, so what brought you to Kentucky? Why are you in Kentucky?
So I was like traveling, um, and then in like July 2021. Yeah. July 2021, I had a friend be like, "Oh, hey, I got a place in this town." And I was like traveling, and I'm like, "Okay, cool." And then I just moved in and just stayed pretty much. That's how I got to this tiny place, very tiny place. There's like 7,000 people, and people leave. Keep on leaving. So it's
It's gonna be a ghost
fascinating.
town.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, the type of people who are here though, it's like 50% is people raising families, like children, and then the other 50%, or I guess the other 40% is like old people, and then a couple of people my age, but pretty rarely. It's mostly people who are like young, way younger than me or way older than me that live here.
Okay.
That's just small town life, though.
That's
I feel like all
small
small
town
towns are
living.
just
Yeah.
families and old people and
all
Yeah.
kids.
the all the young people just want to flee, so that makes sense. They just want to leave. I've been here forever. I want to experience the world, which is why there's like no young people here. But I'm so far away from where I was born, so I'm like, I get it. I like this place because does not remind me of Washington State that much. But there's a lot more mosquitoes here.
Mm-hmm.
So many mosquitoes. But it's also the weather in Kentucky is interesting. Like I'd say 1 week it would be really, really cold and like snowing or raining. It doesn't snow much, but we got the first snow like last week and it snowed about 8 inches. So there's like 1 week where it's just cold, and then the next week, warm, super warm, 60s, 60 degrees, like it's 40 to 60 degrees as a high in the winter, and in the summer it goes from say like 50 degrees as the low 1 week to 90 degrees the high next week. It fluctuates pretty heavily between the weeks. So I don't
Is it
know.
humid?
Yeah.
It is really humid during the summer. That's probably the worst part about Kentucky is the summers. They're very humid. So many mosquitoes come out. So many bugs come out. And I was like, I don't want these bugs. I don't want them near me.
Yeah. The South is brutal. That's why
Yeah.
so many authors from the South were alcoholics who just wrote about how miserable
How
it
death.
was. Yeah, yeah. Like William Faulkner is like, my grandma
Yeah.
died and we got to carry her corpse to this made up town in Tennessee. Um. Anyway, I don't remember the book that well,
And it's
and
hot and
yeah,
What,
humid.
as I lay dying?
yeah, as Ollie dying. I read it in college. I spent thousands of dollars on a class to read that
Yeah,
book,
me
and
too.
Huh. I've never read that book before.
it's very good. It's a very good book, and I don't remember it too well. I
Oh.
remember
Yeah.
it bounces around between perspectives. It's all told in first person, but it's like all these different characters, and they gotta carry this lady's corpse from like whatever town they're in to this other town, and it's like this like almost like Lord of the Rings type of adventure.
Yeah.
Oh.
They gotta get this body to this other town so they can give it like the burial she wanted, and so
If
it's like
only
all
Lord of
these.
the Rings had a corpse in it.
Yeah, yeah, not a lot of death in Lord of the Rings. It wasn't,
True.
it was a very you know polished shining story, if those are the adjectives to use. Kid
Right.
friendly, not like Game of
Yeah.
Thrones, not like Game of Thrones. But
Right.
yeah, but in As I Lay Dying, it's like from all these different people's perspectives, like first person. So there's like the one guy and his sister, and then at one point, like one of the kids has like Down syndrome. This is one of the
Hmm.
staples of Faulkner's writing is there's usually like somebody who's like retarded in a lot of his
Okay.
books. Yeah, I can say that's what they called it back at that time.
But they're
Um,
usually retarded, but their inner monologue is like the most intelligent
yeah, it's
thoughts.
it's like the Rashomon episode of King of the Hill when you hear like Boomhauer's version of events, and
Yeah, yeah.
he talks normal.
Yeah.
I haven't
um,
seen much King of the Hill, so I don't know
So
any
that's
good.
characters.
that's a
I've
that's a
seen a little bit, but not much.
it's my favorite of that block of like adult animation from that time. That's
It's so
I
good.
that was the like growing up in Texas. That was the best. I love that show. Um, but in
Mm.
As I Lay Dying, there's this really interesting part where there's a section that's from the perspective of the corpse.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
but
a
it's
cool part.
dead.
Yeah, she's dead, but it's still like written from like the first person point of view of a dead old lady.
Huh.
So
That's
yeah,
fascinating.
it's a good book. Yeah. Um, I know you're a bit of a reader. You do like comic book
Yeah.
stuff.
It's comic books. That's what I've been reading mostly.
Yeah. Is that a lifelong thing for you?
Um, I only started like last year, honestly. I learned how to draw by watching cartoons like animation. So my art style reflects more cartoony animation stuff. But I just started reading comic books last year and I'm like, wow, the art is so much more detailed and different than animation you find on the TV, like American TV animation. And
Yes. Do you have some artists you like so far?
Ethan Van Sciver.
Yeah, I know
He's
him.
yeah.
He's like a
He's
right wing,
cyberpunk.
like conservative guy now, right?
I don't know. He's Christian. That's all I know about him. But he makes some pretty epic arts behind me. He did the line art, and then the colors. Kyle Ritter did the colors, and
Yeah. Ethan Van
great
Sciver
collaboration.
Ethan Van Sciver was one of the it was like him and Jeff Johns that brought Barry Allen back from the dead back in 2000, what was it, 2009? Man, I don't know if you know this, but Barry Allen, the Flash, was one of the superheroes that died, who stayed dead for a long, long time.
Oh, I
Um,
did not know that.
yeah, they killed him off in the first big like multiverse crossover event ever. Before now, everything is multiverse. The first big event was Crisis on Infinite Earths. And this
Hmm.
was like 85, 86. And so in that story, Barry Allen dies. And, the trope in comics is like, oh, well, they'll be back in like 6 hours. Well, he was dead for like 25 years. Like he was gone.
Oh wow.
For a lot of people, Wally West was their Flash. Like his sidekick took over as the Flash, and that was the Flash forever. And then like in '09, Jeff Johns and Ethan Van Sciver did this story called Flash Rebirth, where they brought him back. He was like
I
trapped
think I
in
have a
this.
copy of that.
Yeah, it's good. It's very
Yeah.
good. It's like really pretty. The artwork is good. Like obviously he's a good artist. You know this,
Yeah.
and it's a good
Yeah.
story. Like he was trapped in the Speed Force for all this time, and he comes back and he's like, "Oh, what is an iPhone?" Or like whatever. I don't remember it too well, but that was like what brought him back. Was yeah, Jeff Johns and Ethan Van Sciver, and I know Ethan Van Sciver's on the outs in terms of comic books because he went kind of I guess like in 2016 a lot of people did. He went kind of politically wacky and is like
uh,
ousted from the libtard comic book community.
the only thing
The
that I've heard about this is that people accused him of being a Nazi, leaned into the Nazi jokes too hard, and that they use that as an excuse to kick him out.
Yes, yeah,
So
he's
that's the only thing I've heard about it.
yeah, so he became like a kind of reactionary figure. You might know something about that because you do like shows with like Chrissy Mayer every now and then.
Yeah, we
No.
don't really talk about him that much on the show.
Yeah,
Just
but you
talk
know
about other
about
things.
political reactionaries for sure. Isn't that that's what she does, right? I don't know.
I don't know
She's
either. I don't
she's
know
like
much.
a right
I just
wing
watch
kind of.
movies.
Yes, yeah. We don't have to get into all that, but okay.
Yeah.
Well, so what you've been doing comics for a year, and you do like what's the comic book thing you do? It's on your Patreon.
Do a comic book review on forcanonsake.live. It's a uh live comic book review.
What's the
I
website?
forcanonsake.live.
Okay,
Yeah,
we'll include that in the episode description.
cool.
Yes, yeah. This is my show, but we're trying to promote the guest here. Uh, so what of what you've read? Name some. What's something you really enjoyed? Maybe because I read comic books for many many years.
I really like Shotgun Samurai. It's an I don't know if you've heard of it. It's pretty indie. Shotgun Samurai Volume 1. I like that one. The action's great in it. Like it's a the action is definitely a very big strength in Shotgun Samurai. Um Another book that I've read, I started on Wanted and I like it. I was reading Wanted and comparing it to the movie because I had also just reviewed the movie around the time, the Wanted movie, and wow, they are so
They're
different.
very
Like
different, yeah.
they're very different.
And
Like
I don't like either one. I didn't care for either one of those stories.
the beginning of Wanted, the movie, the guy's just like, "Oh, well, I'm going got you. I'm going to assassinate you." And instead that guy gets assassinated. In the very beginning of the comic book, that guy who gets assassinated he's having gay sex,
Mhm.
and then also is just throwing around in the same like page just like racial slurs, and I'm like, what is this comic
Yeah,
book?
I
What is going
didn't.
on here?
It's a
What is this
very
called? Wanted?
wanted.
Wanted,
Drew, you
yeah.
remember this? It was actually Professor Xavier now, James McAvoy. It was like him, Chris Pratt, Angelina Jolie, Morgan Freeman, and it was this movie about like an international.
Oh,
Yeah, Curve the Bullet was the big thing.
Yeah.
yes.
That movie has zero to do with the comic book. Beyond like the only
There's some parts, but not much.
not much. Yeah, the only similarities is they're like badasses, but the comic book is this like edge lord. It's like if like almost like if Tucker Max wrote a comic book.
Yeah, the guy is a big edge lord. The guy who gets recruited into becoming part of this assassin league. Versus in the movie, the guy is a little bit meek. He's very meek. He's
Yeah.
He's a
very
nerd.
hesitant to kill. Like he's very hesitant. He doesn't want to do any murders of any kind. It's only until Morgan Freeman's character is like, oh, well, we get our targets from the loom. It's just like
Yeah, textiles
fabric.
are a big part of the movie. Is textiles.
Yeah. And I didn't get that far into the book, but I do remember that he was noticeably more angry and more willing to kill people in the comic book.
Yeah, yeah, and he's Eminem in the comic book.
Yes.
He's
Eminem.
He's Eminem. Yeah, you know how like in old Drew. I don't know if y'all know like the Nick Fury we have now. That that version of the character, like Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury, that was just like 20 years ago when Brian Michael Bendis and I forget who the artist was on Ultimate Spider-Man at that time when they were creating the like Ultimate series. When they did their Nick Fury, it was just they drew Samuel L. Jackson, and so then like years later they just cast him in the movies as Nick
Just
Fury.
cast him. Wasn't Nick Fury originally a white guy?
Yes, yeah, and David Hasselhoff played him in a movie years and years ago.
Oh. Oh,
Yeah.
I only know David Hasselhoff from the SpongeBob movie. He was the lifeguard.
Yeah, that's all you. That's not really all you need to know about. I mean that and the cheeseburger video when he's drunk and crying, eating cheeseburger off the floor.
I've never seen that.
Did he
Oh
die?
yeah. Do what?
Did David Hasselhoff die?
No. No.
Who am I thinking?
He was in Guardians
Patrick
of the Galaxy. Yeah, You're thinking of Patrick Swayze.
Damn.
That's who I'm named after. Dalton from Roadhouse.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Man, have you seen Roadhouse?
No, I haven't. I have heard a lot of people recommend Roadhouse,
Yeah,
but I've yet to see Roadhouse.
I would recommend Roadhouse. Hola, amigo. Be nice until it's time to not be nice. I live by that. But yeah, so but that's like a thing in comics every now and then is they'll draw a character to look like a famous guy, and so in Wanted, it's Eminem, but then in the movie, I don't know, can Eminem act when he's not Eminem? Can he do anything outside of 8 Mile?
I don't know.
I think he only did 8 Mile.
Yeah, well, he did 8 Mile, and then he's
like a rapper. I'm pretty sure that's just like the only thing he does.
He is
for
a rapper.
50 years straight. Yeah, for 50 years straight.
50 years. He's been rapping.
He's 50 now, since he was 12.
Yeah, he's been in movies here and there, but usually as himself.
Okay.
Like he has a really funny scene in Funny People, which is a movie I don't actually think is that funny, but he's funny in it. He's good in that scene. Drew, remember that?
Oh, you know what? He was in.
I didn't watch Funny People.
It sucks.
What's the movie that North Korea took down from American
The Interview.
Viewers?
Yeah, that's also very.
Yeah,
funny.
he was also in there.
Yes.
He was in that.
Yeah,
Yes.
he came out as gay.
Yeah, that's like one of the funniest scenes in the movie is they're doing that interview and he just like casually slips it in that he's gay, and all the like all the producers behind the scenes are like, what the fuck did he just say?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm a homosexual. I like to have sex with men. It's funny.
It's a fun movie.
Yeah, but
good times.
Wanted, I did not. It sucks. Man, did you like it? Did you like the movie or the comic book?
I liked the movie. It's I think it's just because it's so over the top that I'm like, okay, we're not in a reality. So this movie can just show me cool visuals and I'd be pretty open with it. There were some moments where I was like, I wish this movie was already over. I was definitely towards the end, like not the part before the main guy wanted just like start shooting everyone.
Mr.
But like
Wanted.
but before that, it was just getting a little slow for me. I'm like, yeah, I'm I just want to see how this guy gets out of this situation. And I do like the ending a lot. Uh
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just a fun movie. It's just the
It's a
movie
fun
for
movie.
fun.
I like it better than the comic book for sure. It's not as cynical, it's not as nihilistic.
Yeah.
It's a much more like hero's journey. Whereas like the comic
Popcorn
book,
flick.
yeah, the comic book, there's no one to root for. Like everybody sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, to the point where I'm like, well, I don't know like why I'm reading this. Like, there's no good characters here, and it's not even like any of them are like anti-heroes like the Punisher. They're just straight up villains. So it's like
Yeah.
I don't want any of you to succeed in what you're doing.
Yeah, the only things I remember about Wanted are Angelina Jolie's ass
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and Morgan Freeman getting shot in the head, which I think is the
Yes.
very end.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
I don't really remember the movie that much.
Yeah.
Um, I like that end scene though.
The
Was
end
it
scene's fun.
Angelina Jolie who's Fox? Is that who she is?
She has my favorite scene in the movie where she murder suicides everybody by curving the
Yeah,
bullet a full 360-degree curve of the
that's
bullet.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, where she's like, we're all villains. Like she has this realization. And so she curves the bullet to go in a full circle. And everybody just stands there. You know, they're all just standing there letting this happen. And so she kills everyone, and then the bullet goes through her own head. And it's like, okay, well, now it's just James McAvoy, Mr. Wanted, has to wrap this up by himself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
did the comic put as much emphasis on curving bullets as the
It's
movie did?
they made that up for the movie. That is nowhere in the comic book. It has like actual people with superpowers. Like there's like a version of Clayface named Shithead or something. He's like made of it's like a Clayface made of shit. And
Oh,
then yeah, there's like all these different superpowered people.
I've
And
not
like
gotten that far.
okay, yeah, because
Yeah.
I don't know how far you've gotten, but yeah,
I think I got like 3 chapters in. That's how
okay.
far I am.
The
Yeah.
comic book has an interesting idea, and it's like worth exploring as a comic book fan, man, because the idea is that there's this constant reference made to something changed in the mid '80s, like in '86, everything became gritty and dark, and things
Yeah.
changed, and so there. What that's referencing is like in the real world, in our universe, reality there was this big shift in comic books where they started becoming more grounded and gritty.
Mm.
You know, like the Nolan movies, like that
Yeah.
all starts in the '80s with like Frank Miller doing like the Dark Knight Returns, and then Alan Moore does Watchmen.
Okay.
Uh, and Alan Moore also did his run on Swamp Thing. And so there were all these authors who were starting to approach comic books like more like novels or like gritty 70s crime thrillers almost. And so and it was like hugely popular. So there was like this big shift, and that led to like, you know, Todd McFarlane doing Spawn, and then, you know, and for years, you know, we get all the like gritty, dark superhero comic book stuff. And so
Hmm.
that's like sort of what Wanted is referencing, is that moment in time when um you know, comics themselves made this switch to more grounded, gritty stories.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
When they went rated R.
Yeah, when they went rated R. Yeah, like the Daredevil TV show was that's kind of based on when Frank Miller was writing Daredevil. You know, all that kind of you know, we're going to approach this kind of like a good and bad thing, because then that's where you get like the birth of the word graphic novel, which I think is silly. And even Alan Moore has said that's stupid. He's like, it's a comic book. It's not a graphic novel. You
I
know,
don't even know what the difference is.
there is no difference. It's a
Mm.
pretentious word that adults use to make it sound like they're not reading children's entertainment. Um,
Ah,
yeah,
that makes sense.
I never liked it, the word itself, but yeah, it's like Wanted has like some cool ideas, and you know, you would probably enjoy going back and reading those stories like Dark Knight Returns and Watchmen and Swamp Thing,
Ooh.
Sandman, Animal Man by Grant Morrison is a very good one.
Hmm. I've
Because
never heard
that
of Animal Man. I've only
Animal
heard about
Man,
Sandman.
Sandman,
Oh.
Neil Gaiman, not my favorite. I'm not a big Neil Gaiman guy, but Sandman's
Mm.
good. Animal Man is my shit. Animal Man is like, this is, you know, decades before Rick and Morty, and then you sort of like when everything became self-referential and meta. It was like
Right.
Animal Man was like one of the first kind of stories to start experimenting with that kind of thing.
Hmm.
At least in comic books and like that kind of media. Because it's Grant Morrison who's a big time comic book writer, and it was like where he really broke out. And they don't DC had only hired him to do like 4 issues where it was going to be Animal Man versus Buana Beast, and Buana Beast is this sort of like B C tier level villain, or sort of like villain slash anti-hero character, and it was going
Right.
to be like their showdown. But it was so good that DC was like, I guess just like keep writing this.
Huh.
So those 4 issues wrap up, and then the fifth issue, he goes buck wild and does this issue called the Coyote's Gospel,
Hmm.
where this Wile E. Coyote cartoon character, type of cartoon character, somehow escapes the cartoon world and winds up in the
Hmm.
real world, but the real world still being the world of the comic book. And so he's a Wile E. Coyote type character who just wants to die, but every time he gets run over and shot and anvils fall on his head, he just can't, you know, actually die. And so the story is like Animal Man encounters him, and the whole story is about Animal Man trying to help him finally die so he can go to heaven. And then like the issue ends with this like nod to the audience where it's like, now and then you pull back even further and you start to see like there's like this meta thing that happens at the end where it's like God himself might be Grant Morrison.
Oh boy. That's
Yes.
so fascinating.
And
That
so
sounds pretty
where
interesting.
it goes from there, you know, there's like, if you buy the trade paperbacks, there's like 3 volumes. The whole arc of
Right.
the story kind of leads to something like that. I don't want to spoil it too much, but yeah, it gets real out there, and it gets into all this like metaphysical. You know, what is reality? What is
Hmm.
consciousness? What does it mean to what is even storytelling? What's the purpose of this? Animal Man's cool.
Yeah, it
I'll
sounds
have
like
to check it
the
out.
House of Leaves.
Yeah, it's yeah, like House of Leaves, where it's like a story within a story within a story, and then
Hmm.
you might be part of the story by even reading this.
Ooh, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
There's so
So
many comics that I don't know anything about.
yeah, you've only been
So
doing
many
it.
comics.
Yeah, you've only been reading a year, so
Yeah.
yeah, you have thousands and thousands of dollars to spend on, or just you know, piracy,
Yeah.
download them, which is
Yeah,
what I
download
do.
PDFs.
Yeah, that's what I do now. I can't afford that shit. Or even if I could, but like, it's such an expensive hobby. It's like that and Warhammer 40K. You know, how does anybody
Seems like
afford
it take
this?
up it seems like it take up a lot of space too, just fucking hundreds of pounds of comic books.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, I wish I had never started collecting that shit, because it's like I don't want all this. I don't want to have to lug this shit around. I don't
You
like.
couldn't move at all if you wanted to without
Yeah,
selling them or getting rid of them
yeah.
or lugging them.
Physical media is a burden.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, man, you look like you collect a lot of stuff. You have posters, books.
Yeah.
Plushies?
Yeah, I like plushies. Some of these books are like my roommates. But these plushies, these are my plushies. This is my this is my Pikachu.
A little
I don't know.
Nice.
I
knitted
just like him.
Pikachu.
It's what's fun about this one? Well, it's a sensory toy that I got at a con. You can squeeze it. It's heavy. It's weighted, and it's crocheted, so it's texturous and it's good to feel. So that's my these are my plushies. I like plushies a lot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, damn.
Nice. Well,
Yeah, I wish I could have plushies.
yeah, we
You
can't.
know, like as a guy, you
As a
can't just
man.
have plushies on the bed.
No.
I
No.
don't get
Maybe
it.
like
Why
a
not?
waifu pillow. I don't know. It's just, certain
I have
things are
a
just
I have a
mine.
like a waifu body pillow for sure.
Oh, that's
Oh
fun.
yeah.
I wish I had a waifu body pillow.
Yeah, you could probably make one of yourself and sell that on your
That's a good idea.
what
That's
fan
good merch.
yeah,
It
Fansly.
is good merch.
Yeah, it's a fan yeah. Sell it through your does Fansly have a merch page? Can you
I don't know if I'm allowed to sell anything through Fansly. I haven't looked into that, but I do know that Fansly does not allow sale of like underwear and socks and such. Like they
Oh,
specifically have a rule against that. So
okay.
Why? Because they can't get a cut.
like it just in the TOS, and in the TOS it's like, oh, if we will ban you if you attempt to sell any panties, used panties, or like lingerie, whatever. You have to use like a third party site, which is
Hmm.
separate
It's
from
just like a
Fansly.
Hmm.
hygiene thing, though.
Yeah, it must be just a hygiene thing. I mean, I know that OnlyFans has that restriction and even stricter restrictions too, which is
Hmm.
fascinating.
Yeah,
Those
it's probably
those
because of that girl who's selling like the bath water and shit. You know,
uh
Oh yeah,
did you guys see
starting
that guy who vaped the bath water?
ew. No.
he vaped it.
He vaped
A
it?
guy bought it and vaped it.
Gross.
I
Yeah.
mean, let's be honest. It's probably just tap water, though, right?
God,
Like if you're selling like 1,000,
I hope she was just scamming
you're just
people and not
grifting.
like it's so gross to me. Like
$30 for like a tiny container of a gamer girl bath water.
yeah.
Wow. That's so
Oh
2019.
my gosh,
Cuz when
it's
it
so easy to make money
oh, it's so
as a
dude,
girl.
as a girl
Yeah.
now, it's so easy to do online stuff and just make money. I guess. I don't know. As a
There's
guy,
a lot of girls who struggle though. I who struggle on like making any money on the Fansly and OnlyFans. I think it has to do with consistency. It
it's
really is
yes,
Yeah,
consistency. Yeah.
pH balance
I
and
think that's like any internet stuff is really just a consistency.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm cranking out, so much content.
Yeah,
So,
but
as a guy, you have to grift.
yeah, you're the L. Ron Hubbard
I'm the L. Ron
of
Hubbard of
podcasting.
podcasting.
I don't know who that guy is.
You don't know who L. Ron Hubbard is?
Oh,
Correct.
buddy,
Yo,
I don't
nice.
we
know
should get into some
anything.
of his novels.
This is don't well, yeah. Read an L. Ron Hubbard novel if you, yeah, if you got the time. If you want to just turn your brain into oatmeal, reading that just
Yeah.
amphetamine fucking drivel that he was cranking out. All right, so in a minute we'll get back. We'll get more into you in a minute.
Okay.
Not like just interviewing, not like into you. We're not gonna. Never mind. Um, L. Ron Hubbard was a sci-fi author who also founded the Church of Scientology.
Oh.
So back,
Okay.
he was a contemporary of like Philip K. Dick and Frederick Pohl and all the pulp sci-fi guys of the time. And in those days, if you were writing sci-fi like that, you got paid per word. So
Oh.
a lot of these guys were just like chomping on amphetamine so they could crank out these books. and the psychosis that was induced in doing so manifested in different ways. Like Philip K. Dick thought that he was actually seeing into multiple realities, and that's
Oh,
how he came up with a lot of his stories. And he gave this like big testimony that he actually, you know, had unlocked the secrets of the universe, and that the man in the high castle was real. It just was not in our reality, but it was as real as anything we know. Um,
wow.
yes, Elron, in his drug induced frenzy, his psychosis, invented a religion, the Church of Scientology. And
Oh, that's why Tom Cruise got stuck in that closet.
yes,
The
yeah,
South Park episode.
yes, the Tom Cruise has like a direct correlation to L. Ron Hubbard going crazy on
Hmm.
amphetamines. Because yeah, he just in his like schizophrenic episode or like whatever was happening with him was writing all these sci-fi stories and then cooked up this religion that's like a sci-fi based religion. It's all about like,
Wow.
yeah, like ancient aliens that had like come to Earth and filled the volcanoes with ghosts, or I don't even, it's so wacky. And they don't even
Well,
tell the members of the church, like honestly, I don't think people, the general public, was really made aware of any of this until like South Park did their episode about it. Like I think people here and there knew about what was actually going on in that church, but even like the members of the church are not made aware of any of this or starting out. You have to be in the church for years and spend all this money to get to a certain level before they start telling you about Xenu and the aliens and the spaceships and shit like
Ah.
that. Yeah. And so like South Park kind of broke that story for everybody, where it's like
I-
became part of like the public consciousness.
I'm
it is.
curious as to how South Park even got that information. If it's so, yeah, it's so gate kept within the Scientologist
Yeah.
community.
Well,
Like, did they have
I,
somebody on the inside?
what tends to happen is you'll have people because like those guys are plugged in to the entertainment industry, so they know tons of people who are either. I mean, one of the main characters on the show was in the church, Isaac Hayes, who
Mm.
played Chef.
Oh,
But he,
okay.
yeah, but he actually quit the show because of the Scientology episode. But
Oh.
yeah, but they probably knew tons and tons of people who either were still in the church or had left because of becoming disillusioned by it.
Hmm.
Because yeah, what tends to happen is after years of being in it and spending hundreds of thousands of dollars as like part of this cult, this like entertainment industry cult is what it is. They're what's revealed to them is like the truth of the religion is all this like sci-fi shit, and they go, well, that was a lot of time and money that I spent trying to achieve enlightenment. It turns out it's like spaceships and alien ghosts in my blood or whatever they
It's
talk
so
about.
it's so funny. Like all the secrets are just hidden behind multiple paywalls, and it just
Yeah,
leads
it's
to like
just
the
different Patreon
culmination.
tiers. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because like, yeah, Leah Remini talked about it in that documentary where she, you know, was in it for years and then finally got to like level 8 or whatever, and they told her
Oh.
about Xenu, and she was like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, you know, she'd been raised in it, and then was like finally shown what it was, and was like, "Oh, this may not be real. This actually might be
I
some
wonder
bullshit."
how many levels there are.
I who knows? I mean, there's an argument to be made that it might work because I mean, like Tom Cruise seems to be just like
Yeah.
killing it. Yeah, but yeah, what probably happened with Matt and Trey is like they probably knew somebody who had left and just like told them all of that. Like I don't, who knows how
Mm.
anyone found out? It could because there's no way to keep all of those secrets locked under
Yeah.
lock and key forever because it's too wackadoo, and you're obviously you're gonna have some people who just like split and are like, all right, well, I gotta go tell people, try and get people
I
to
spent
not.
I spent so much money to get this information, and now I have to share everyone this information.
Yeah,
It's like an
to help,
investment.
yeah, to help people not get scammed by this fucking like weird cult.
Yeah.
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 And Elron had like established this crazy hierarchy and structure of the church as a religion to where they are up to some like devious goings ons You know, like if anyone is trying to spill secrets or if they don't like a member of the church or someone leaves, they'll terrorize them and their family. They'll bug their house, kill their
Oh
dogs.
no.
Yeah.
I think
That's
it's like
criminal.
they also collect like blackmail on you. I think like
Yeah.
one of the first things you do is they're like, okay, so what things about you do you not want people to know? You can tell us, and then
Yeah. Like
okay, then they get
Uh
the blackmail.
Drew, you and I might have like a more emotional connection to this because like the whole Danny Masterson thing that just happened, like Danny Masterson finally got brought to
Yeah,
trial for what he was up to during his time in the church. Like that was all kind of spearheaded by Cedric from At the
yeah,
Drive-In and the Mars Volta. Man, are
so
you familiar with
funny.
these bands? At the
no
Drive-In,
idea.
the Mars Volta?
I've
It's, you
never heard
know,
of them.
mine and Drew's favorite bands probably.
Yeah, some good stuff.
Great stuff. Um do you like really long songs? Like a good 30-minute song?
Oh, the longest song that I've really listened to is like 6 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes. That's around
Okay.
the length of song that I've listened to. That's the longest.
Okay. So there's an album by the Mars Volta called Francis the Mute's their second album. When did it come out? Like 2004. It's
Yeah,
got 5 tracks: Cygnus Visman Cygnus, The Widow, Elvia Elviasquez, Miranda That Ghost Just Isn't Holy Anymore, and the final track, Cassandra Gemini, which I think clocks in at what, like 34 minutes?
Oh
yeah.
wow.
Yeah. So I would highly recommend that. But the lead singer of that band and the band that preceded that group At the Drive-In, Cedric Bixler Zavala, met his wife in the church, and then as he got to know her, apparently, like she revealed to him that you know, at some point Danny Masterson from that 70s show had done some very naughty things to her and a bunch of other women.
Uh
And yeah, so
wow.
Cedric had been waging this war against him and the church for years, and like the church, like, yeah, like bugged their house, was stalking them, terrorizing them,
Oh,
killed their
I think they
dogs.
killed
Like,
his dog. Yeah,
yeah, it was a crazy story.
should
And
have
I
gone
remember
John Wick on them.
he kind of did do that. Like he was engaged in this like spiritual war with the church to where like that when At the Drive-In got back together in 2017, like that whole album was just kind of about what he had been going through with that church.
Right.
And I remember him and his wife like showed up in that Leah Remini series, and I was like, is that the fucking guy from At the Drive-In?
yeah.
Yeah, and so they finally got Danny Masterson, and he's going to prison now. But anyway, man, to answer your question, that's who L. Ron Hubbard is.
Okay.
Um, um, and so, but anyway, back to the show. Meant So what is, you know, to speak in comic book terms, what is your origin story? Where does this affinity for um autistic obsessions begin?
Well, how far are we going back?
Just what you can remember. What's the first cartoon, video game, comic, you know, any of this stuff that you
Okay.
remember?
So the first cartoon that I watched and got really into was SpongeBob. And I was really into that until like second grade. And then I discovered Club Penguin and I was really into that until fifth grade. And then I discovered Tumblr and would just scroll the Tumblr wall and uh use use that as like art reference. Also there'd be art blogs like on Tumblr teaching me how to draw. Like, oh, here's the proportions you want to maintain while drawing. Here's some shading techniques. Here's how you draw this. Here's how you draw that. Here's how you do all this stuff. So, um, I was really into that until Tumblr banned porn in 2018, and I got really mad. And then I just went to, oh man, I tried doing Twitter, but it was hard for me to use because, like, man, all of my amazing Tumblr communities that I use to look up art references are now gone or just buried, and there's not really like a way for me to search for that on Twitter because I wasn't familiar with the platform. So I think I just at that point I was just oh, actually also during that time on Tumblr, Tumblr got me into Steven Universe, and I was like, I wonder what I thought the appeal was that. I remember really liking it, but I was curious as to why. Now I'm thinking back on it. It's the colors. The colors are really strong. The backgrounds are really strong. Um, the story is all right. There is some good character development, but it doesn't happen until like later in the first season and throughout the rest of the other seasons. Um, first the first several episodes of Steven Universe are insufferable. I can see why people don't like that show, but there's character development. There's a world. I like the
Yeah.
world.
That's a
Um,
recent thing in cartoons. Cartoons didn't used to have character development or like
yeah,
plots necessarily.
Yeah,
Like,
they're one-offs.
yeah, they weren't
yeah.
serialized. Like Drew and I grew up when it was like you could just tune into any episode and you'd be fine. There wasn't like seasons of lore that you were like if you watch like a later episode of Steven Universe, you'd just be like, I don't. So what? They're like polyamorous space lesbians. I don't know what's going
What
on
are they
here.
doing here?
Yeah, because
um,
I saw some of that show and I liked it for a little while, and then I had this realization where I was like, well, I'm in my 20s, a grown man watching a children's cartoon about the power of friendship.
I think I was
Um,
like, I was so while I was watching Steven Universe, they went on through just so many hiatuses. So the show started in 2015. I picked it up in 2014 or 2015, binge watched the entire first season, then would just wait for new episodes. And I think Steven Universe ended in 2017 or 2018, the original series. Uh, the the first season is so much different from the fifth season. There's so much that's been developed within the world since the first episode. Like the first episode is really just innocent. Oh, I got a ice cream. Look at my ice cream. It's shaped like a cat. Isn't that cool? And whoa, what is this shield that I can just summon out of my gem? What is happening here? And then like the do you care about Steven Universe? Can I spoil it?
You can spoil
I
it.
do not care.
Okay. Okay. So the very end of the episode, they go to the Diamond Authority. They're literally on the Gem homeworld planet trying to convince them not to destroy Earth. Turns out that Steven Universe's mother, Rose Quartz, is Pink Diamond herself. She has
Hmm.
ran away from the homeworld because she wanted to preserve humanity. And the ending I felt like it was a little bit rushed. Like the building up to it was good. I was like, oh wow, he's going to see the diamonds. Oh wow, he's like looking at the diamonds, dealing with mourning and death, and still having to process the death of their loved one. And it's them just being really emotional. And that's what I really liked about the series. And then the very end just seemed to feel like the last episode seemed rushed. Like, oh well, now we're suddenly okay with them well, now we're just suddenly okay. The diamonds are suddenly okay. The Steven Universe just existing. He's an abomination. He's a human gem hybrid abomination, and it's like they want Pink Diamond back, but I don't understand this. The show doesn't really answer this question for me. Why are they okay with Steven Universe existing if they want Pink Diamond back? That's like their little sister, and they can't wrap their heads around the human gem abomination. I don't even know how that could even possibly be a thing that exists. Like, why does having human seed in you and also being a gem mean that you have to lose your body but also fuse human genetics and to create a product? Like, that part was very confusing to me. The show doesn't really explain that very well. It
Yeah,
tries but it doesn't.
I don't know when we were cartoon watching age, Drew and I, our show we had a show about a cat and a dog that refused ass to ass.
Oh, cat dog. I
Yeah,
like cat
Yeah,
dog.
it was
a
an
good
ass to
old cat dog.
ass, yeah, cat and a dog that were some sort of like abomination, some
Yeah.
unnatural affront unto God that was attached that shared I suppose like a gastrointestinal tract and organs and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was always the question. It's how are these guys shitting and pissing?
Exactly. Yeah, how they shit and
Through each
piss
other's
and
mouths.
I guess so. Yeah.
Oh
That was,
god, so
that's what
gross.
we had. That we had, two beavers who were pretty upset about things.
Yeah.
They were angry beavers.
Hmm.
Yeah, we had this emo kid named Doug who wrote in his journal every day.
There was a little boy named Doug. There was a kid with a misshapen head. Hey Arnold.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I've
Hey,
seen
hey,
reruns of
Arnold.
some of these shows on Nicktoon. Oh wait, Nick at Night, I
Nick
think.
at Night. Yeah,
Nick
Yeah,
at
that's
dude.
Night,
Hey,
yeah.
Arnold holds
man.
up.
That's how that really like struck me as just like an aging now because like the fact if they're showing Hey Arnold on Nick at Night, it really
Yeah, dude.
you really feel this the specter of death lurking behind you hearing that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I was a kid, like Nick at Night, it was like reruns of like Full House
Yeah,
and
like
Oh.
All in the Family.
yeah, like All in the Family, like the Jeffersons. It wasn't Hey Arnold. That's crazy.
Oh
I didn't know
boy.
that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Also Zoe
Steven
101.
Universe.
Would you
Zoe
say true?
101. It's
Yeah,
on
that
Nick
was
at Night.
on Nick at Night, yeah. Or
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
yeah.
That's
What were you
crazy.
asking though?
No, I'll say I'd never even heard of Steven Universe. It sounds very complex for a
It
children's show.
is ridiculous.
There's a lot of adult themes, like the way that they fuse, because I love this, but everyone else hates it. They have to do these dances. There's this one particular dance
Dragon Ball Z.
like that the entire internet exploded because there's this two characters, they're dancing at the very end. One of the gems opens their legs and the other gem jumps into their legs, and then they start fusing and become this really big monstrosity. This like uh I also, another mechanic that I like about Steven Universe is that the gems can fuse and create new gems, and it's
That's the
fun because
reveal. What Garnet is actually a fusion of
yeah,
what Ruby and Sapphire or
yeah,
something. Yeah.
yeah. And what's fascinating is by the amount of limbs and the amount of eyes and just the like the general shape of the fused gem showcases their relationship. Like let's say Malachite, which is a fusion of Jasper and lapis lazuli, which is how the show pronounces it.
Mm-hmm.
They're a very, very toxic relationship. Lapis Lazuli only fuse, so she has like water powers, so she can have Jasper, which is just a homeworld gem trying to murder Steven. So because Steven was nice to Lapis at some point, she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna fuse with you, and then I'm gonna drag you into the ocean." And their fusion is it's a really giant 6-arm monstrosity. It's on two, it's like kind of like a centaur. It's like on it stands on 4 legs and then has 2 arms, and they have like 3 eyes or something. No, 4 eyes. They have 4 eyes, which means their relationship is very they it's not a good relationship. It's pretty toxic. Versus Garnet, she has the appropriate amount of legs, the appropriate amount of arms. The only difference is that they have 3 eyes, because they are a very perfect coupling, Ruby and Sapphire, but they see different from time to time. But that allows Garnet to see into the future, or at least some future timelines.
Just prescience, like the Muad'Dib from Dune.
It sounds like a jeweler's Digimon kind of deal going on.
It's uncut Digimon, yeah.
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 It's pretty cool. I
So
like
wait,
the mechanics.
you're telling me that they had to, in order to fuse, they have to do a fusion dance?
Yeah, some fusion dances are different. Like there's one between uh, the one I was talking about where they're like one of the gems is going into the other legs is a garnet and amethyst. Then the other one, it's more of like an eloquent dance. That we have pearl and amethyst. They fuse. Pearl just does like ballerina or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and amethyst does like break dancing. And then they like hug really close. There's a lot of lesbian stuff. They don't kiss except for
Is this a girl show or is it like
yeah.
a?
It's like
I
girls and
it's very
homosexuals.
it's very girlish show.
Yeah,
So I can see why people don't like this show, but I like this show
yeah.
because of the world and the mechanics
Well,
of the
you're
show.
like the age for it, yeah. Like it,
Yeah.
yeah, it hit when you were like at the right age for it, I would say. Um,
Yeah.
but it's curious. A fusion dance, huh? Drew, you're Mexican. Fusion dance sound familiar to you?
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah,
dude, I'm a big fusion dance guy.
yeah. Sound like something you
Oh,
know about?
who do you fuse with when you
Uh,
dance?
well, fusion dance in my reference goes to Dragon Ball Z.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Mm.
a big Dragon Ball Z head, like all Mexicans, and it was what was it, Trunks and
The
Gohan, or Go, what's his
It was
name?
Goten and Trunks. I think
Yes,
they were the original fusion dance. They were the ones who first figured it out on the show, and then later Goku and Vegeta were able to do a fusion dance.
Hmm.
And the fusion that happens after a fusion dance is a different fusion than what you get with the Potara earrings, as we all know.
damn, dude.
Yeah, so I can see the I guess whoever did Steven Universe, who was it? Rebecca Sugar
Rebecca Sugar. Yeah. She also worked
from
on
System
Adventure
of a
Time.
Down. Oh, she worked on Adventure Time.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Yeah.
I see that now. Yeah, that makes sense. Sounds like she was watching a little Dragon Ball Z. She might have a little Hispanic blood in
This very very anime inspired. She's very open about how Steven Universe is very anime inspired. There's like gags, like speedline gags sometimes, which is fun. There's also like a lot of filler episodes that expand upon the world, like the side characters and their relationships, but I'm not really particularly interested in
See now
those type of characters.
in Dragon Ball Z, there's a lot of filler episodes that add nothing to the show.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Sometimes those are my favorite episodes though, where it's just like a
yeah.
slice in the life episode about
Those are
Goku. You
fun.
know?
Yeah, when it's just Goku like working on a farm, and it's like Goku has to go to the DMV or what, like that's
Yeah.
always fun because he has he's like societally in terms of like it being like a functioning member of society, he's retarded. He's like
Oh yeah.
incapable of functioning, but he's the most powerful entity in the whole universe.
Yeah, he is
Um,
very Forrest Gump-esque when
Goku,
you think about
dude.
yeah, Goku is
I never
Forrest
put that
Gump.
together. Goku is the Forrest Gump of anime. He's just like really slow and stupid, but also the strongest warrior in the
And a heart of
universe.
gold.
A heart of
Yeah.
gold, yeah. Inspiring everyone.
That's fascinating.
Dude, I never saw that Venn diagram coming. Forrest
Yeah.
Gump and Forrest Goku. Forrest
Man,
Goku.
you need to do a video on Forrest Gump, please.
Yeah. Man, have you
A
seen
very
Forrest
big.
Gump?
I have. Forrest Gump was one of my earlier reviews. I think
Oh,
that like
it exists.
yeah, it
You
exists.
didn't like it?
Mint Salad saw Forrest Gump. I do like it. I like Forrest Gump's character a lot. Um, I find him fascinating. It's like, oh, it's time for me to do another thing, and because he does not care at all about society or whatever, he's just focused on his own goals. Then
Yeah.
society eventually catches up to him and starts like loving him. Like, oh my goodness, Forrest Gump is amazing! Wow,
Yeah.
did you know he running? Do you know that he could run?
Mm-hmm.
And then he just stops running. It's like, what? What is happening?
Yeah.
It's fun.
Damn, I love
Saying
that movie.
is a saying does.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Good time.
Yeah, mom always said life is like a box of sensu beans. Uh yeah, this is a fun riff that I'm trying to think of, but man, you have not seen Dragon Ball Z.
I have not seen Dragon Ball Z. I've not seen any Dragon Ball Z.
It's a
Man,
commitment.
it's a commitment, yeah. It's not one of
How
these
much is there?
a lot, yeah. The Dragon Ball Z itself has what, like 9 seasons, and I think each one has
Yeah,
like, like 100 episodes per
like
season,
100
maybe.
episodes.
Yeah, it's a lot. And then, you could also go back to the original series Dragon Ball, and then there's also Dragon Ball GT, which many people rebuke is not canon at this point, which is the follow-up to Dragon Ball Z. But they retcon that now because Akira Toriyama took back over a few years ago and started Dragon Ball Super. So you have about what, Drew? What would you say, like 30 plus years of cartoons to watch, and that's not including the movies.
I think it's 40 years.
It might be
Because
40 years. Yeah,
yeah, it is
yeah,
pretty nuts. It's a
and
billion
that's
dollar industry just making money off of Hispanics
just
and
Hispanics
black
and
kids.
black kids. Yeah, autistic black guys. Not even autistic. Like honestly, like Hispanics and black people. Dragon Ball Z is like the unifying. It's like the equalizer of all the races.
Yeah.
It really has brought us together.
Yeah. It's like how like Muslims and Christians both believe in Jesus.
Yeah, black
Yeah,
people,
it's like
Mexicans, white people all believe in Goku.
yeah.
Yeah,
Jeez.
man, I think you would enjoy Dragon Ball Z. But are there any animes you like? Are you trying to get into the weeb corner
Market.
market?
Um, I haven't seen much anime, but the one anime that I really did like as a child and just kept watching was Sergeant Frog.
Oh yeah,
You
I'm
heard of?
I'm familiar with it. Yeah, I don't. It's a more silly, like cartoonish story, right? It's
Yeah,
like, yeah, it's not. It's like a comedy.
yeah, that's a good way to describe it. Do you know much about the story?
No, not at all. I have no clue. I had like a manga of it years and years ago, but I never
Oh,
really read much of it.
okay. Well, there's an anime came out in like 2004. Pretty much the quick premise is that we have frog alien invaders coming from planet like a very militarized planet whose only focus is to invade planets. This platoon comes to Earth, and the leader of the platoon is like is like, oh, I'm here now. How do I start off with this goal to conquer the Earth? But he's like in this bedroom. He gets caught in this bedroom, and then the first episode is just establishing that the person that he's with does not take anything from him. She's like, actually, if you're gonna live here, you're gonna clean. You're gonna clean. So he's just now like a cleaner for them. And so the structure of the anime, I wouldn't say there's much character development. It's more of we know these character traits, and every episode is based off of these character traits. The first several episodes of the season introduces slowly more and more of the platoon, and by the end there's like 5 members. So the main guy is being uh what's the word, is being told, hey, we gotta follow the plans of our military leaders, or there otherwise they're going to kill us or something. We gotta conquer Earth. And so the military the the head frog is like, okay, we gotta make a plan. But it's usually some ridiculous plan, and then hijinks ensue. It's a lot of melodrama within the platoon itself, and it's usually foiled by the the people that the head frog lives with.
Mm-hmm.
And because the guy who likes to rib, get it, because frogs rib on the leader frog, the guy who ribs on that leader frog has like a crush on the person that the leader frog is living with, then pretty much nothing happens within the episode. Like no invasion whatsoever happens. And that's the structure of an episode.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like
Okay.
Pinky in the Brain.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I've only seen
I'm
a
getting.
tiny bit of it, maybe one
Oh,
episode.
there was a time when Spielberg was just like doing the most artful animation on television because
Ooh.
It was Pinky and the Brain and Freakazoid and Animaniacs, and it was like these. It was like the first time that I remember as a kid, like somebody approaching animation is like, we're gonna do this. This is gonna be as expensive as a movie. Basically, it was like such high quality stuff. Like the animation itself, the writing, the performances. Each episode was like a big studio production. It felt like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Didn't someone like big voice the brain?
I can't remember, dude.
I can't remember
This
either.
was like what, like 30 years ago, probably.
Yeah.
Let me look that up. I can't. Yeah, I think so. Pinky was
Yeah,
Rob
Pinky and
Paulson. Pinky was Rob Paulson, and then no, I think the brain was Maurice LaMarche.
nah, maybe I'm getting it wrong then.
No, but he looks well. It's based on Orson Welles.
Oh.
That may be what you're thinking of.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, Mint don't know nothing. Mint's over here watching Sergeant Frog. All
It's been a
right.
while since I've seen it. I think the
Okay.
last time I saw it was like 2015, and then I was like, oh well, I think I've aged out of the show, but it still has a big heart in my heart, big love in my heart for that show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have a soft spot
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like all the stuff from when we were kids. Like, you always remember the good times, even when it's just entertainment that you watch alone in your house as a fat
Yeah.
boy,
Yeah.
just just remembering watching,
Yeah.
every weekend waiting for Toonami to air a new episode of Dragon Ball Z or
Well, you got a bag of hot Cheetos, you got a glass of milk, and you're ready for entertainment.
they call it, the Mexican child's speedball.
Yeah.
Flaming hot Cheetos in a glass of milk. Yeah. Man, you ever do any drugs? What's the wild side look like for you?
Probably dabs. Dabs. Pretty much.
Dabs.
Yeah. Sometimes alcohol. You know what's fun? Now you mentioned that subject. What's funny? A lot of my movie reviews, I'm completely sober because if I'm high, then it's hard for me to recall any information quickly, and I just want to be able to say the thoughts that I have as quickly and as coherently as possible without just so much dead air that it's makes me cringe just listening to myself. I mean, watching a video that I make makes me cringe all the time, but makes me less cringe if I'm sober doing it. But what's fascinating, all the comments are like, "Oh, is she drunk? Is she high? Is she drunk? Is she high?" And I'm like, you guys don't know what drunk or high looks like then, like at all.
Right.
Maybe it's
No,
I'm completely sober.
you're just autistic, I think. That might
Yeah.
be, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm speaking out of school autistic boobs, but or maybe that's an ironic name. Who knows?
I'm autistic and I have boobs. I mean, on YouTube, I'm not going by autistic boobs. It's just youtube.com/ASC presents. So that's doesn't really say, "Oh, I'm autistic," but I
That's
feel
true.
like
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's your like Twitter handle.
yeah,
I think your like public facing profile is Mint Salad at ASE Presents is the YouTube
yeah,
channel.
yeah, yeah. It's just fun. I it's just it makes me wonder. Oh, I wonder if people actually know what a drunk or a high person looks like
Right.
just at all.
Yeah, I
It makes me
do.
feel like the it just makes me feel that people's perceptions and of other people's mind states are inaccurate, or maybe it's so different from what they're used to that the only thing they can compare it to is being drunk or high. But drunk people and high people are different than just sober me. Like I know what
Right.
I act like when I'm high, and it's not in those videos. If I was high, I'd be like stumbling through my words and trying to stumbling to figure out what I'm going to come up with.
Yeah,
I mean, I
you
already
seem
do
like you
that
squint.
normally sober. What'd you
Yeah.
say?
What were you gonna say,
I said
Drew?
you seem like you squint when you're high.
Like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like a yeah.
Black or Chinese, yeah. Uh,
Yeah. I mean, that's a good tell. Yeah. I guess I also have like light sensitivity. So, um, if I'm filming in like during a sunny day, then I'll tend to squint more just because it's hard for me to take in all of the light information just from the sun itself.
the sun's
It's
pretty
a little
bright.
the sun is
Yeah.
really bright. It's
Is that
and
like
so
a
it's
sensory thing?
yeah, it's a sensory thing. Like it physically hurts for me to open my eyes if I'm outside and it's too bright. Like I have to squint.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So dabs, maybe a little booze here and there. You never done mushrooms,
Oh, I've
acid.
done those. Yeah, I've
Okay.
done those. Yeah. It's not often.
Yeah, you don't want to do them often. You don't want to end up like me. You know,
Yeah.
you don't want to
I
go
don't want
through what I want.
my brain to become a fried egg. Well, I would
Yeah.
actually. That would be pretty nice. That'd
No,
eat
you
my
know,
brain.
I've been there. That's happened to me. So it's not fun. And it can be quite devastating. You can lose a lot going through that. But I've talked about that enough on the show before. Folks will know about that. Um, anyway, what are you doing these days? Like, what are your goals? What are you looking to work
My
on?
goal, my goals, comic books, more specifically, become a colorist, for other people's comic books. But I'm like making my own comic books, just work in progress stuff, just working on stuff, working on comic books. Um, I don't really have much information on it right at this moment, but just working on that. Just gonna keep doing the movie reviews. The ultimate goal is to 5,000 movie reviews. Um, because
Hmm.
10,000 hours makes you an expert at something, and I want to be an expert movie watcher. And also the purpose of watching the movies is to have like composition in my head for various projects like comic books or like posters, just like a digital artist. Like I plan my entire life. I want to be like when I'm 60 or 80 or whatever. I want to just be drawing every day. That's the
Mm-hmm.
goal. And I want to amass all this media knowledge when I'm young. Just learn, just keep on learning, so I can like make the best art. Because art lives forever. Good art will live forever. Orson Welles is dead.
Mm-hmm.
Citizen Kane still exists, and everyone loves Citizen Kane because it's such a great piece of artistic cinema. It's great. Versus just bad art doesn't live very long, and middling art no one pays attention to. Um, so I want to create truly great art. So the just my end goal is to make great art in whatever form that comes out in. Like the comic books is immediate, but I'm sure eventually later on in my life when I don't have any idea what could happen.
Well,
Because life's like that.
you're on the the most successful podcast on the Billionaire Podcast Network. Ching, bing, 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 bing. Did you fill her up? So you're gonna be getting some numbers after this.
Woo!
Yeah.
Numbers.
You get the Dalton bump.
The Dalton bump.
I like numbers
Okay.
and letters.
I like both. Yeah, I like numbers, letters, colors, shapes. Big fan of all these
Yeah.
things.
Me too.
Okay, so you're trying to draw more, do color work. But you've only started reading comics within the last year. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I'm also the comic books, I have so much to learn about comic book layouts, but when it comes to like art, before comic books, I was mostly focused on improving my ability to draw anatomy and like I did community college. I with and like my focus other than the core classes that I had to take was doing like graphic design classes, and that taught me a lot about colors as well and design concepts and just
Red,
growing up.
yellow, blue,
Yeah,
green.
and just
Yeah.
just growing up, I learned about a lot about colors via being taught, oh, well, this is the primary color palette, this is the secondary color palette, or just like testing it, just practice, lots of practice. So I've been really focused in colors pretty much my entire life and also drawing. But I feel like I'm stronger with colors, honestly.
That's one of the
Yeah.
jobs in a comic book. It's not like,
Yeah.
you have the guy who pencils it, the inker, the colorist.
Yeah, it is such an important job. I didn't know it was a job until last year.
Have you seen Chasing Amy?
No, but I want actually yes, I have seen Chasing Amy. Oh my goodness, I have. I saw it last year. I remember a lot of people telling me about Chasing Amy. They're like, "Oh, you gotta go watch Chasing Amy," and then I was like, "Oh, I haven't seen Chasing Amy," and then I finally watched it, and I liked it. Oh man, I can't remember what's it about. Honestly, it's probably
about lesbian?
It's about a guy who tries to turn a lesbian. I guess I think the central plot is Ben Affleck tries to turn Joey Lauren Adams into being straight.
Oh,
Yeah. I guess this is before bisexual people existed.
hmm.
So the idea of a woman who usually dates women now dating a man is scandalous amongst her group of lesbians. Yeah.
Ooh.
And but it's also he's a comic book writer, and Jason Lee plays his or I think Ben Affleck does like the writing and the pencils maybe, or Jason
Huh.
Lee is the inker in the movie. So there's like this running joke that like Jason Lee's character, they keep calling him a tracer. Like, you a tracer.
Oh.
You just trace. Yeah. It's like I brought it up because it's a whole movie about like people who make comic books and that industry, but at the core of it, it's a love story about a man who tries to get a lesbian to be in love with him. Yeah.
It's a hard feat.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
Yeah. I think Kevin Smith has like expressed complicated feelings about it lately. Now that he's gone woke, it's kind of an insensitive idea.
He looks so weird now that he's
He-
skinny. I
dude,
miss Fat Kevin.
When really fat people get skinny, they do look strange. It always happens. Like Jonah Hill looks insane now.
I feel like it
What's-
ages them like 20 years.
Yeah.
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 It must be the fact that he's skinny and doesn't smoke weed anymore.
Yeah.
just
He
has
doesn't
completely
smoke
looked
weed
to him.
anymore.
I think he
Yeah,
quit.
he quit. Yeah,
He's
he
a husk
quit.
of his former self.
Yeah.
It's
I
fascinating.
guess like every fat person that loses weight just ends up looking like fat bastard at the end of Goldmember. Like that really is like what
So
they
the
look
lesson
like.
is never lose weight if you're fat.
Yep.
Honestly, no, yeah, because like being fat, I've been like pretty fat. There's been like times in my life when I'm like up and down, like as Robert Kelly would say, I'm probably on my like fourth fat, you
Mm,
know. But being fat does like keep everything youthful, and then when you lose the weight, you age, but you're healthier, you just look older.
right.
Yeah.
But being fat, you look younger, but will die sooner. You know,
It's a curse.
there's no old fat people. There's no
Yeah, but you die with joy in your heart.
yeah, you die
And food in
jolly.
your stomachs.
Yeah.
Yeah, you die jolly. Like James Gandolfini, he had a smile on his face after the on
I
that.
think the oldest fat person has to be Santa Claus, and he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't exist.
That is true.
Or Buddha.
Yeah.
Is Buddha dead? Did he die canonically?
I don't know.
Or did he like ascend to heaven?
I
Wait,
don't
no,
know.
they have reincarnation.
Reincarnation, yeah. And that
Yeah,
book of
so
Lord, that book,
Buddha's out there.
yeah, that book of Lord of Light by Roger Zelazny. Yeah, everybody's immortal and just gets reincarnated, but it's not, supernatural. It's all like based in science, but it's a confusing book.
God, I
Um,
hope that's real so bad.
well, the plot of the book is that the Buddha character actually wants to be gone, and so he's actually dead, but then he gets ripped out of the nirvana and brought back to the planet, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And they're like, we need you, Sam." Um, and so his name is Sam. It's like short for like Sam something, some Samarthos, Samadim Ding Dong or something. Anyway, forget it. It's a dense, confusing book. It's really good though. Um, but what was I saying? We got to wrap up soon. We've been doing almost 2 hours. I know Mint's got to get back to watching a movie. What are you watching tonight, Mint?
Tombstone.
Tombstone's
Oh,
good.
that's a good
Tombstone's
Yeah.
one.
a, you gonna cook up a tombstone pizza to go with it?
Ah, I should have got one of those.
Yeah, those are
My car's
good.
been stuck in the snow, but otherwise I
Nice.
would have done that.
What kind of car you drive?
A Prius.
Ooh,
Yeah. Great gas mileage. I don't have to uh not a lot of mechanical issues I have to deal with. Which is pretty nice.
Yeah,
nice.
saving the planet.
I don't care about the planet. I care about my
Yeah, I
wallet.
mean,
And my wallet is saved because of the gas mileage.
Yeah, I lost everything because of the drugs, but I'm coming back with a vengeance. Oh, so you're watching Tombstone. What's your well, I guess we can wrap up with this. So out of everything you've done, you've watched what, like 1,000 movies now. You've been
uh, I've like 500 in a row, 500 plus actually. I've done like 700 as of to date, but
whoa,
yeah, the goal is to keep going until I have 5,000.
probably more movies than I've seen. I'm not like particularly a cinephile. Um, and you're doing that. You're doing Fansly. Go ahead and plug your Fansly. What is that?
Um, fansly.com/titsman salad.
Slash tits mint salad.
Yes,
Fansly.com/tits mint salad.
tits like tits.
Like titties, yes.
Yeah, like
Breasts,
titties.
jugs, hooters,
Yeah.
honkers, knockers, fun bags, sweater puppies,
Meat heat.
Booba.
Sweater meat heat.
sweater meat heat, yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get and yeah, I guess we'll wrap up with this, man. So out of everything you've done, all the movies you watched, what would you say is your favorite?
Temple Grandin. And a close second, Doctor Strangelove.
Nice.
Yeah.
Temple Grandin,
Good
she's
lineup.
like Temple Grandin's like the original horse girl, right?
She's an autistic lady who got fascinated by cattle and revolutionized the cattle industry. Went from a bunch of cattle prodders slapping the cattle, trying to get them to be in line. And then Temple Grandin came in and was like, "Oh, well, actually, they do this naturally. So what if we took their natural propensity to do travel in herds, and it would make them less stressed, and the meat would taste good, and it would reduce cost because you wouldn't have to pay for cattle prodders. And it took a lot of people to give her faith. And she's like autistic, deeply autistic. So it was hard for her to explain in like normal communication words her idea. But she was able to set up a blueprint and be like, okay, here's the idea. And it worked. And I think it's a biography. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, a biopic.
A biopic, yeah.
Biopic.
Yeah. Some people say biopic, but that's like a medical procedure, I think, like a biopsy.
Biopic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait,
Yeah.
okay. Who plays her in the movie again? I haven't seen this movie.
I don't remember. I don't remember who plays her. I just remember Temple Grandin.
It was a TV. Directed by Mick Jackson. Claire Danes. Okay. I've never seen this. And it's been a long, long time since I've seen Doctor Strangelove. But you like that? You like Kubrick?
Yeah. Great satire. Excellent satire. And like, oh man, this would totally happen if there was nuclear war and we wouldn't know anything about it because the government would not notify the citizens first. Instead, they would just try to deal with things internally first. And by the time that the 20 minutes were up to fix all this nuclear bomb stuff and it wasn't fixed, we'd all be dead and we wouldn't even know. So
Mm-hmm.
I really like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta go back. I gotta rewatch that because it's been I haven't seen it since I was a lad.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it was college for me.
Yeah, like a teenager is when I saw it because I got really into Kubrick as a teen. Like I watched The Clockwork Orange and The Shining, Eyes Wide Shut.
I've seen Eyes Wide Shut. I haven't seen the other ones.
Clockwork Orange is rough. That's a tough one to watch. I love that movie, but it's definitely it's very violent and very like
Which one? Clockwork Orange?
Clockwork Orange. Yeah, it's very like
Yeah.
exploitation. There's very brutal depiction of sexual violence in that movie. And then what else? 2001.
Barry Lyndon.
Barry Lyndon. I've probably seen Full Metal Jacket like 1,000 times.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Well, Drew, yeah, you were military. It probably inspired you. Like, damn, I want to be
Dude, honestly, yeah.
abused. I want to be abused in basic training.
Yeah, this looks like a cool life.
Yeah,
I probably watched the basic part of that movie like 100 times before I
yeah, it's such
actually.
a weird thing. Like, so many people, like, I'm not the first person to say this, but it is like two different movies in one. He did that a
Yeah.
lot. Like, he has a lot of movies where it's kind of like two in one. And yeah, for a lot of people, they'll just watch like the first half and be like, "Well, that was the movie," and they just like don't even bother with the Vietnam part, which is like the actual catharsis of the film is actually going to Vietnam and seeing like how just disorganized and fucked up it was, and that like all this stuff, like the rigorous training they went through just in no way was preparing them for what was going on in Vietnam at the
Yeah,
time.
basic was just a prologue of what the real meat and potatoes were, you know?
Yeah, well, in that movie, it's interesting because like basic training is worse than what's happening in Vietnam. Like it's much more brutal and visceral and hellish than the
Yeah.
second half of the movie. Even though the second half is where there's more like death and violence, it's look there's like levity to it. Whereas like the basic training part, as I mean, I don't know, like Gunnery Sergeant Hartman definitely is hitting us with some bangers, some of the funniest shit that has ever been said in a movie. But it's
Oh
also
man.
like such a tense, like you're so anxious during that whole section of the movie, especially as Private Pile is going crazy, being abused. Man, that might be something worth watching. This Full Metal Jacket.
I'll have to
But
check it out.
yes, it's very good. Do you suck dicks? Bullshit. I bet you can suck a golf ball through a garden hose. I guess I gotta
Good
watch
times.
Temple Grandin. Go back and rewatch Doctor Strangelove.
Yeah. Can I
Um,
plug my stuff? I have like a specific outro that I like
yes,
to use.
do your plugs, and then we'll end the show.
All right. I do daily movie reviews every day at 7 p.m. ET on youtube.com/AST Presents. I do movie review requests for $20, patreon.com/AST Presents. If you want to help support the daily grindiness of all them daily movie reviews, you can check out my Linktree, linktr.ee/Titsman Salad. That's where all my links are.
Nice. Tits mint salad.
Yes.
Mint. Thank you so much for doing this.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was an honor.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, and I'm glad we got to actually meet and talk. And I'm not just some weird guy who made a video about your boobies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Glad we can have a chat too.
Yes. This is very fun, and you're welcome to come back anytime and talk about give us some updates on the things you've consumed. Go read Animal
Yeah.
Man. Go read Animal Man
I shall then.
by Grant Morrison.
I'm gonna read Animal Man.
Animal Man is very good. Animal Man, Dark Knight Returns, Watchmen, Swamp Thing, Daredevil. Drew, Dork Court.
Next episode's tomorrow.
Are you guys finally
8:30.
getting Butterly?
Dude, he canceled on us to do Legion of Skanks.
Okay. So who's coming on tomorrow at what 8? Well, this ain't
I
going
think
out until Tuesday. So
yeah, I think it's gonna be tomorrow at 8 or 8:30. The fill-in guest is Renee Fuentes, good friend, funny comedian, and another comedian I met not too long ago named Ethan. The last name I can't remember, but he's gonna be on the show and he's gonna be funny as fuck. Yeah. I guess
nice.
it's already, you can watch the rerun on twitch.com/light Kool-Aid.
Cool. And then maybe Butterly will get off his ass and come do it at some point.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I didn't
uh,
want to say anything.
yeah, sorry. Tits. Oh, she left. Folks, Tits Mint Salad ASE presents Dork Court. She just bad. I've had enough of this shit.
Oh man, that's so
Thank
funny.
you everyone. I love you, and